everyone. I'm Rebecca Weber. This is your AMAC podcast, Better for America, and today we have a great show. With us is Ben Ferguson, and Ben has been bringing exclusive news to our members by hosting the popular AMAC Weekly News special. And he is also the star of his own podcast. I encourage you all to go check that out, The Ben Ferguson Show. And Ben has been a news commentator for many, many media outlets, including Fox News. It is an absolute pleasure to have him with us here today. Ben Ferguson, thank you so much for joining me. Welcome to the show.
Always nice to hang out with you, especially right before the midterm. So I'm excited to be here.
I am too. And, that's exactly what I want to talk about, Ben. I want to talk with you about what I'm calling the pre-election rumor mill. And I'm really referring to the constant lies and the rumors, the mistruths that we have seen come from the left. And I'm talking about mistruths that we're hearing from statements put out by the White House, falsehoods that we're hearing from prior presidents, outright lies from people in Congress. For example, Ben, Bill Clinton claims that critical race theory has never been taught in American schools. And he says that the GOP is only using this in order to tarnish the left and encourage more people to join right-wing voters. I want you to listen to that video right here. Take a listen.
And we have to note, the Republicans always close well. Why? Because they find some new way to scare the living daylights out of swing voters about something. That's what they did in 2021, where they made critical race theory sound worse than smallpox. And it wasn't being taught in any public schools in America, but they didn't care. They just scare people.
Now, Ben, we know that this isn't the case. I mean, we saw what happened in Virginia when parents spoke out against critical race theory. Those were real parents that were really there and witnessed real critical race theory being pushed and shoved down their children's throats. We saw the impact that this had on Governor Youngkin's race. We saw what happened in Florida when DeSantis signed the historic bill to protect parental rights. So I don't know what Bill Clinton is talking about here. Even the National Education Association says that they will share and publicize information on critical race theory. So how can a former president outright lie in an interview? And with no accountability.
It's easy because he knows that the person that's interviewing him is not going to ask a follow-up question. I mean, look at the fact checkers, for example, if you just take a big step back. It is now at this point in Biden's presidency, he has been fact-checked his statements. They had fact-checked Trump 6 times more than Biden has been fact-checked so far. So what that means is the media isn't doing their job. They're doing the propaganda work for this government, which they have pledged allegiance to. The reason why Bill Clinton can sit there and have that moment where he can just flat up lie to you, telling you that critical race theory was not being taught, is because he knows the guy that's interviewing him is a hack and isn't going to do a follow-up question. And that is what's changed since when he was the president in 1990. When he lied, they actually challenged him. When he said something that wasn't true, they actually challenged him. He used to have a media that would challenge you on things. But when you know they're going to cover for you, they're not going to fact check you, and they're going to let you say whatever the hell you want without anyone interrupting, going, with all due respect, former President Clinton, there was critical race theory being taught. We had it on video. We had the teachers union admitting this. They had it in their curricula. They had it in their guide for summer reading. Like, you could easily and politely disagree with him, but he doesn't have to worry because the media has decided they will do whatever they have to do to keep Biden and Biden's team in office, right? These useful idiots are who they want to be there as long as it's not Donald Trump, which is exactly why they come after us with such, disdain, why they act like we're, Nazis or we're Adolf Hitler and we're the follower of Adolf Hitler. I mean, look at the attacks and the rhetoric just over the last week from the media, and they allow these people to go on TV and say these types of things. So if you want to know who you should be mad at, I'm really not mad at Bill Clinton, right? I expect this from Bill Clinton. He's a politician. I expect him to lie, right? I do. I did not have sexual relations with that woman. I know he's a liar. I understand Bill Clinton. What makes me angry is that the media actually treats the American people with such disdain that they basically believe that we're so dumb and so stupid that they can sell us this propaganda and we'll take it as the truth. That's my problem right now.
Yeah, it's a very good point. I agree with you there. I don't think that this reflects really well on the parents, because there are so many parents out there that are actively fighting against critical race theory. And when they hear a former president just blatantly lie and say that it hasn't been taught, it's a smack in the face, a slap in the face. So there's another.
Sure, and if you're a parent, and you think about, you watch this clip and you went to school board meetings and you start standing up for your kids and you say, get back to the basics, reading, writing, and arithmetic, and then you are declared a domestic terrorist by the DOJ and the FBI. The way that they were, when they are slandered by the teachers' unions, when local police are basically spying on parents because they're being directed to, and then you have a former president sit there going, oh, it never happened. If you talk to parents that dealt with this, parents that were arrested at meetings for just voicing their concerns, that did not, by the way, break laws and were not charged with crimes, but they arrested them anyway, they detained them, right? I would be livid if I watched this and saw a media that refuses to correct the record. But this is what we're up against in the midterms, and this is why it's so important that people actually understand. Don't just get mad. You have to vote. And if you don't vote, you're the bigger idiot in all of this.
Since the Dobbs decision, there have been rumors that conservative Republicans actually want to eliminate and entirely outlaw abortion. Now, if that lie isn't bad enough, we heard former Georgia State Representative Stacy Abrams, who's running for governor, actually said that there is no such thing as a fetal heartbeat at 6 weeks. She actually said this. Take a listen.
There is no such thing as a heartbeat at 6 weeks. It is a manufactured sound designed to convince people that men have the right to take control of a woman's body away from her.
Ben, how dangerous is this information if people are willing to believe it?
Well, go back to the fact-checking for a moment, right? How many people have fact-checked in the media Stacy Abrams and said it's a lie? I haven't seen one yet. Planned Parenthood, by the way, even admits that you can hear a fetal heartbeat at 6 weeks, and then it disappeared from their website, interestingly enough. And a lot of people that talk about this information have deleted it from liberal websites. But this goes back to the core problem that we mentioned just a few moments ago. If you can say things like this and no one in the media calls you out, then it was a victory, right? If Stacy Abrams says to Americans that you can't find a heartbeat, it's a lie, right? It's not real at 6 weeks, and no one says that's not true, then what she said becomes truth to a lot of ignorant voters in America. And we used to have a press that when something like this was said, they would call it out, not because they were picking sides, but because they actually were having journalistic integrity. We now have journalists that are filled with propaganda, and they want access to Abrams. They want access to the left. They want to put him in office. They're activist journalists. And when she said that, the media should have just told you the truth. Now, that doesn't mean that they're ridiculing her or attacking her. They should just be intellectually honest with you and say, this is not true. And then if it is taken off websites like Planned Parenthood, they should tell you it was taken off websites like Planned Parenthood to show you the cover-up for the lie that Stacy Abrams told. But there are a lot of Americans now that are going to see that clip that you just played. They're going to take it as the gospel truth. They're not going to do any of their own fact-finding on it. And since no one said it was a lie, they're going to say, well, she must be telling us the truth, and they're going to vote for her.
Yeah, that is so unfortunate. It's one of the reasons why we do this show, is to get the truth out there. And I appreciate you, speaking the truth. We've always said here at AMAC that to be pro-life is to be pro-child, pro-parent, pro-morally responsible, and pro-God. And so, we of course stand for life. But you're right. There are younger people that will hear that soundbite and believe it. And so we're doing our work to make sure that people hear the lies from the left. And that brings me to another great big lie, and that is the immigration lie. And this we're hearing right from the White House relating to our southern border. Now, we know that over 2 million illegal migrants have already been caught, and that doesn't count the people that we haven't caught. They've been crossing the border since Biden has been in office, and the White House continues to tell the American people that the border is closed. Take a listen to this one, Ben.
Compare that to the Trump administration, which largely just tried to build a wall, an ineffective wall, along the border and couldn't even finish that in 4 years. We're certainly doing a lot more to secure the border and could be doing even more if Republicans would stop their obstruction.
How do we demand government accountability, and what do you make of Governor Abbott and DeSantis flying these migrants to sanctuary cities?
Yeah, I think it's a very smart move by DeSantis to bring the border to people that refuse to admit what's happening. I think it's very smart by Abbott to do this because it's nothing. It's a drop in the bucket compared to what they're dealing with on an hourly basis. There was also something else that was very interesting. I want to read this so I don't screw it up. It said there are 3 now, and again, think about this. There are 3 migrants entering the United States of America right now for every 4 U.S. citizens being born. That's Joe Biden's America.
Unbelievable.
3 illegal immigrants coming into this country for every 4 Americans being born. That is what open borders is right now. You look at what happened in Martha's Vineyard, and I wish that there were some people that were mocking them, right, and laughing at them about how they were declaring it's a disaster and a humanitarian crisis. Look, I think it was brilliant, and we should do the Martha Vineyard plan. You have 50 come across the border, you immediately say it's a humanitarian crisis, and you bring in 120 National Guardsmen to deal with those 50 people, and you shut it down, you get rid of them, and you deport them right away. That's what they did on Martha's Vineyard. They said, you're going to Air Force Base, you're gone. They brought in 120 National Guardsmen to deal with 50 people. 50. So when Democrats refuse to admit there's a problem at the border, and the reason is simple. They don't care about border towns being overrun. They don't care if you die at the hands of a MS-13 gang member. They don't care if people's jobs are being taken away as long as it's happening in flyover country, because they have true disdain for flyover country. They hate Texas. They hate Alabama. They hate Louisiana. They hate North and South Carolina. They hate Georgia. They hate Tennessee, Mississippi, and Arkansas because they voted for Donald Trump. So if they can completely overrun a state, it also gives them another opportunity. It gives them an opportunity for Democrats to say, I'll fix these problems that we're creating, right? If you just switch. Look at Beto, who's running, for example, in Texas. They are hoping for chaos so that people will then listen to them when they say they'll fix the chaos. That's their game plan here. And if they can bring in 20, 30, 40 million people and change the fiber of this country, and these people that are coming in from third world countries, many of them are okay with socialism and communism. They're conditioned to it because it's the governments where they were. And they understand that they will support Democrats easily in elections because they don't necessarily believe that socialism and communism is all that bad, right? If you grew up in it, you don't have a major disdain for it usually. And that's where they're trying to remake America. I truly believe Democrats think that if we can get them here, give them amnesty, and give them a cleaner version of socialism or a cleaner version of communism, they'll vote for us forever because they're conditioned to not think it's pure evil. Whereas conservatives right now are terrified of where we're headed because we no longer have a Democratic Party. Even the clip of Bill Clinton earlier. Bill Clinton was a guy that was a Democrat, right? He was a Southern Democrat, and he even understood we need to have a secure border. He even understood that we need to have a military. You have now socialists that have taken over the Democratic Party. And if they can get the voters they need to keep that socialism alive, it will be a disaster for this nation. That's exactly why the president put Kamala Harris in front of, in charge of the border, and she's never actually been down the border because she knows it's a problem. Well, but this is by design. They're not stupid. This isn't an accident. This was all premeditated. This is being done on purpose. They're not stupid. And some people, commentators, have gotten this wrong. Democrats are not stupid, okay? They know what they're doing, and they're trying to change America.
Yeah, and I don't blame Abbott and DeSantis for flying these illegal migrants to sanctuary cities. They're left with really no choice. They're left with, look, when you've got a president in White House that's saying the border is closed, there is no problem, when they care more about sending money to Ukraine than taking care of people right here in America, what are these governors left to do but to say, we'll show you how bad the problem is. Here they are. So for anyone to, come out against them, they're just not paying attention. We've got to stop this. We've got hundreds of thousands of Americans dying. We've got from illegal drugs, from fentanyl that's coming across the border. Our listeners know that. We've got, child trafficking. My God. I mean, if that's isn't important stuff, I don't know what is. So,
well, look at fentanyl right now. Fentanyl is going to kill more young people 25 and under than any other cause. We're talking about gun crimes, violent crimes, all of them combined. You will not reach the number of people that are going to die accidentally from fentanyl overdose. And I'll give you an example. My dad works in emergency services with Sheriff's Department. And the other day, they had a guy that worked at the Sheriff's Department. He opened the trunk of the car. There was fentanyl. It hit him with a breath and collapsed right there. They luckily were able to save his life with Narcan. That's how potent this stuff is. And people don't understand it, that people are dying. They have no intent to die. We have people that are smoking marijuana, they say, that one of it was laced with fentanyl, and they died instantly, right? Took it in, and then that was game over. There was no one there with Narcan to save their lives. Most agencies, police agencies in this country are running out of their fentanyl budget in the first 3 months this year that was supposed to last an entire year. And they're having to go to their city council and their aldermen, the mayors, and saying, hey, we have blown through our fentanyl budget for the whole year. January, February, March, they were begging for more fentanyl funding, our Narcan funding to deal with the fentanyl. And this is what's happening in Biden's America. And parents should look at this as an issue of, is my kid safe in America right now, not just with crime, but also what if they're around somebody doing drugs, or what if they try something with no intent to kill themselves, right? They're not trying to commit suicide. These are accidental overdoses. And look, I think there's reality. We know that some kids are going to try drugs. Does that mean you deserve a death sentence? No, it doesn't, right? Just because people make bad choices, right? We know just say no is a great idea, but there's reality. And we know that kids are going to be stupid and they're going to try drugs. But these kids that are dying, they have no intent of ODing. Many of them take barely anything. But if it's got that, less than 1 gram of salt amount of fentanyl, you're done. I mean, we had more fentanyl come in the country in August, they say. That enough fentanyl came across the border in August to kill every single American. I think it was almost 3 times over. Put that in perspective.
Yeah. Well, a little bit of hope I do have in my heart, because despite what we're hearing from what I'm calling this pre-election rumor mill, because they're all over, lies, mistruths, rumors, run by the Biden White House and the loony left, I still have hope. Kevin McCarthy has a plan for taking over the House majority, and I've recently read his 4-pillar plan known as the Commitment to America, and that really is aimed to secure economic safety, national security, freedom, and government accountability. So my question, Ben, is do you think his plan is enough to convince the American people that there are still good men and women in government who are willing to fight to preserve the America that we love so much? Or do you think that the left is going to go ahead and do everything in their power to continue to lie to the American people so that they can't get to the truth?
Yeah, I think that the media is going to sell the lies, the Biden administration, all the way through Election Day, no matter what. And then the useful idiot, Joe Biden, will be no longer useful to the Democratic Party. And I think they're going to turn on him because they don't want him to run in 2024. I think that's number one. All right. Number two, I think when it comes to are we going to see some sort of shift or change in this country, the answer is only if Americans show up on Election Day, right, and actually inform their family and friends on what's going on, because they are going to continue to lie to you. They're going to continue to say absurd things. I mean, look at the White House, for goodness sakes. Look at their 2 big lies this year. They keep saying the border is secure. The White House press secretary said the border is secure. That is one of the biggest lies ever, and it's so easy to prove that's not true. Yet the media still allows them to say it. I remember when CNN actually said they were going to ban people from the Trump White House that they claimed lied on TV. Right? They were the gatekeepers of truth. Well, now the entire media covers for the Biden family. Look at the other big lie ahead of the midterms. And remind people, Joe Biden claimed that he never talked to his son about his business dealings. We know that's a lie. We know from Hunter Biden's laptop. We know that Hunter Biden and Joe Biden and James Biden worked together in the Biden crime family. But the media refuses to cover it because they know it's too damning to the Biden family. So when we go into this election coming up, and I am hopeful that conservatives are going to have big victories, but we have to do it staying focused on the issues. You got to talk about the economy. You got to talk about inflation. You got to talk about gas and oil prices. You have to talk about a secure border, and you have to talk about security. I think the Democrats are vulnerable on defund the police, and so many cities are dealing with out of control, violent criminals and this no bail, and you arrest somebody and you let them right back out on the streets, and all these activist DAs. I think that's where Democrats are most vulnerable. We don't need to get caught up in talking about Mar-a-Lago and the raid, no matter how much it makes us angry, because those swing voters, and Bill Clinton and I will agree on this, are the most important thing in this upcoming election. And the issues that swing voters are going to care about, that middle, which has gotten a lot smaller, as he put it, he's absolutely right. Right? We're really divided as a country. We're probably 47.5% to 48.5% right, 47, 48% left. We see that in the polls. It's that 3 or 4% in the middle that is going to decide if we are Democrats or if we are Republicans who are controlling the House and the Senate. And if we want to reach those people, it's just 3 or 4% of the population. We have to reach them on actual issues. Education, crime, the economy, inflation. That's what they care about. So we need to not get distracted by some of the things Democrats would love to get us distracted by that are partisan issues like the Mar-a-Lago raid.
Really great point. So glad you said it. We're less than 40 days away from November 8th, and we know that our members are going to be out there voting. We do want to ensure that we see a red wave, and so I think that that's what we've got for our future. Ben, this was such an honor to have you with us here today, and I just so appreciate your analysis, your candor, and for sharing your views and insightful news with AMAC's growing membership. And Ben, I want to have you back with us. I can't wait to talk more
Anytime.
with you. Yeah, right after the midterms. That'll be great.
Done. Thanks as always for having me.
Thank you so much, Ben. And I want to thank each and every one of you out there listening. Thanks for tuning in today. Go ahead and watch, listen, track breaking news and more like this podcast by downloading the AMAC News app. And don't forget to join or renew your AMAC membership. Go ahead, hit that subscribe button, follow, like, and share wherever you are on social media. That's it for today. I'm Rebecca Weber. This is your podcast, Better for America. Thank you for being here. God bless you and have a great day, everyone.